You can generate completely custom PDFs directly from Airtable. No Make, no Zapier, no external integration tool needed, just Airtable and PDF Monkey. Think invoices, reports, packing slips, anything. All designed in PDF Monkey and created automatically with one click. Let me show you exactly how to set this up from start to finish. Welcome back. I'm Zack from InnerDev Solutions. We help businesses streamline their processes using custom no-code tools so you can focus on what matters most. To learn more, you can visit our website, innerdevsolutions.com, or use the link in the description below. Even if your data isn't in Airtable, you can use this video as a guide. Similar steps apply even if your data lives externally to Airtable. By the end, you'll understand exactly how to connect structured data to custom designed PDFs. If you follow step by step using both this tutorial and the written guide, which I've linked below, I'm confident you'll have everything working smoothly. If you're new to this, I would recommend building the exact setup I demonstrate first, then adapt it to your own system once you understand how each part fits together. This is a guide that is available on my website, link below for it. There is a few things that you're going to have to adjust depending on your exact setup. But in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to build a simple Airtable invoices database. We're going to have invoices and line items, and I'll show you quickly how to set that up, but I already have it set up with data so that we can jump into actually creating the script and setting up PDF Monkey, which we'll use to generate the PDF. Now, as I mentioned off the top, this is not going to require an external tool like Zapier or Make. We can build this directly in Airtable using the scripting action within automations and then using PDF Monkey to generate our PDFs. This is a guide right here. First thing that we're going to have to do, if I scroll down, I'm just going to go past this introduction. There are some prerequisites. You're going to need an Airtable account, link in the description below for that. You're going to need a PDF Monkey account. There is a link below for it as well. If you are comfortable with HTML and JavaScript, that will help. However, it's not necessary. I do have the scripts in HTML below that you can just copy and paste, and you're going to have to make a few adjustments. So you'll have to be able to just read through it, but it should be pretty clear. And also with the help of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or some sort of AI model, you'll be able to get this figured out. To get started, I'm going to jump into Airtable. We're going to create a new base. I have the fields here that you're going to need that's going to match this specific video setup and instructions. I would highly recommend, if you're new to a lot of this stuff or really any of these things, I would create this system exactly as I have it set up, and then from there work backwards and set it up to your specific system. This is specifically for Airtable. However, this guide will be helpful if you have data living externally as well. There is going to be a lot of similarities to getting this set up. So go ahead, link below, create a new Airtable account if you don't have one. We're going to create a new base. And this is what happens when you create a new base. Airtable has this AI option on the left side here called Omni that should open automatically. And if not, it's this button here. So it's just close Omni. We'll click it. We can open Omni. Now, I gave you all of the field names, table names, and the actual field type that's required to go ahead and build out each table. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to click into it. This is my table that already has some pre-filled data that we're going to use for testing. Really quickly, to build this, the cool part is now we don't even have to go in and add in and set up each field. There's going to be a few tweaks that we'll need. But if you go to my guide here, we'll just select all of this text down to here. So the invoices table, line items table, we'll copy it, come into Omni and just say create two tables. And then we'll just paste in the details below that we copied in. If you hit enter, it should go ahead and create both tables for you. There's going to be a few customizations you're going to have to set up. What I would do is just compare and make sure each field is set up correctly in each table based off of the instructions we provided it, but it should be pretty close. What I'm actually going to do now is I am going to go into the Airtable base that I've already set up. We can see that I have data already set up. The invoices table is our actual invoice, and the line items table are the line items that exist on the invoice. And there could be one or there could be hundreds. I've got it really simple set up. I've just got the invoice number in the primary key field, and I do have it written in the description, but it's just going to be a formula field, which is the ID or an auto number field plus 1,000. And that's all I'm using for the invoice number. Customer name, customer address, those are single line text fields. Realistically, in your system, those will probably each be their own table. And then going across, we've got all these standard invoice related information: date, due date, status, total amount, notes. This invoice PDF, once we've generated the PDF, we'll have it uploaded back in here. And then this is just for some kind of backend information, invoice PDF status response. And that way we can easier track if it succeeded or if it failed. And then it links to our line items. I'll jump into line items quickly. I just have it grouped by the invoice, so it looks a little bit cleaner. Invoice 1001 has 3 line items: quantity, unit price, and this is just simply a formula: quantity times the unit price. That's really simple Airtable based. We'll come back to this in a moment. We'll have to go into the automations tab, but this is the general structure and setup that we are going to be working with. I'm just going to go back into my guide for a moment. Once we've set up our Airtable base, I'm going to scroll down. And one thing to take note of, field names are case sensitive. Once we get creating the script and the HTML, which is going to be our PDF within PDF mode, we need to make sure there's some things that have to match exactly. But I'll point that out once we get started creating the script. So step 2, we need to create a PDF Monkey account. Again, there's a link in the guide here or link description below, and you can create a new account. You can get a few documents a month for free, and then you can pay for more documents if required. I've linked the documentation as well we're going to be working with once we create the Airtable script, but this sync generation guide is linked right here. I'm going to skip past this. This is the invoice format HTML. This is what's actually going to design our PDF. Now in PDF Monkey, and I'll show you in a second here, there's multiple tabs at the top. Once you create the template, there's the HTML, there's the CSS, and then there's test data. I'm just going to take this HTML and CSS all in one file and just add it to the HTML tab, copy that, and that should copy to your clipboard. There's some additional information that we'll go through here at the bottom, but once you've got your PDF Monkey account set up, click into templates and we'll add a new template. So I'll click add template, and then we can just call the invoice. I'm just going to label it demo. Call it whatever you want. Output type, we're looking for a PDF, and we're going to use code in this case. And from here, master templates, there is some templates already set up for you, but I'm just going to go into blank and we can create our own template. Now, again, if you're not familiar with HTML and CSS, this is where I was talking about. You can put HTML here and CSS in this tab. I'm just going to paste it all in. And honestly, you do not have to be an expert in it. I would get started using this HTML exactly. But if you want to find packing slips or reports or other types of PDFs out there, I would just Google whatever you're looking for, maybe a report, PDF, HTML, or you can go to ChatGPT or Claude, some sort of AI model, and just give it some information saying, help me create HTML that I'm going to generate into a PDF for whatever the thing is, packing slip, report, so on. And then from there, you'll have to fine tune it a little bit, but that will get you started. I'm going to paste it in, and really quickly, this style tag, that's an opening style. Scroll down a little ways to here. This is the closing style. So everything in between that on this character here, all the way up to here, if I copied that and I could paste that into the CSS tab and it would do the same thing, but I'm just going to leave it all in one. Let me scroll back down. This body, this is what's actually going to show the structure of our invoice. If I hit save, we can see the invoice structure will be generated. It's blank right now because I don't have any test data, but we can see the stuff that exists directly embedded, which is my company name or an example company name, address, those types of things. And then where there's bill to, there's no line items, no total amount or invoice date. There's none of that. It's all blank. And if I scroll down, we can see our first variable is called invoice number. The invoice number would exist over here. If I scroll down a little further, there's bill to, which shows customer name. These are variables that we will get from Airtable and pass to the system, and it will just insert it there for us. If I jump back into the guide, we need to get the API key so we can upload that to Airtable so that we can actually generate PDF documents account. I'm just going to scroll past that for a moment. This is optional. Test your template with sample data. I'm going to copy this, and this goes along with our HTML template. I'll go back into PDF Monkey, into the test data tab. I'm just going to paste this in. And now all of these variables are assigning these values to these variables, essentially, which are found within the documents. If I hit save, we will see an example document get generated in a preview mode. That just shows you that the structure is working properly. And now we have to figure out the automation side. I'll go back into the guide, focus on this section. There's an API key that we need, and there's a template ID that what we're going to do. Maybe you can go right into the automations or open up a notepad and we'll just store these elsewhere for a moment. But I'm just going to jump right into Airtable. Here's my Airtable base. We'll go automations and back up just a little bit here. If I scroll down a little further, you have the instructions for this as well. We'll go in, create a new automation, set up a trigger, all those types of things, and we'll run a script. So the way we're going to do that, go into Airtable, we'll go automations, and then there's this create new button. We'll create an automation and we'll call this create invoice in PDF Monkey. And then I'll just in brackets call it PDF. The trigger, there's a lot of different options. So depending how you want to set up the system for yourself, I can change things. But what we're going to do is select this when a button is clicked. And in a moment, I will come back to the interfaces. Airtable has the Omni built into interfaces as well, so that you can generate them using AI. But I'm just going to go into this preview mode. I've got them built out using the record review, and we can see the different invoices I have here and all of the data. Essentially what we're going to do is add a button up here. When it clicks, it will trigger this automation that we're going to build, call out to PDF Monkey, bring back the PDF and store it within the record and within the field right here. I'll go back into the Airtable automations tab. When a button is clicked, I'm not going to worry about anything else for now, other than go down to this add next action. Now we can go down to run script, and this is where we can set up a few of our inputs and our secret input as well. Our secret, all that's going to be is our API key. We want to store that securely within Airtable. So what we can do is now go back to our guide for a moment. I'll just scroll up here and now we can follow this. This is hyperlinked, assuming that within this browser that you're looking at the guide in, you're logged into PDF Monkey. If you click it, it will navigate you directly to the API key. I'll just go into PDF Monkey for a second, and we can see here, if I click API key, it will show us our API key. And now I wouldn't show this to anyone. You don't want to put it directly in your code, or if someone basically gets access to this API key, they can use your account to generate PDFs and use your credits. And if you're paying for it, that's going to cost you money. You can click show my API key and you're going to copy this. And then from there, we're going to paste it back into Airtable. We'll come down to here. Now that we're in the script, we can add a new secret. We'll go add new secret. You can call this whatever you want. PDF Monkey, API key, whatever. Collaborators, we can share it with a specific user group if we want. I'm just going to leave it as just me. And then you're going to paste in that secret value right here. Then you'll click add, and then we'll be able to use it in a secure way within our script. I'm just going to add an existing secret because I've already got it set up. So I'll just use that. And now I have access to it. This add input variable, we need to pass in the actual record ID. If I go back into my guide, we can see how to do that. And actually, one more thing that I want to do back in PDF Monkey first is, so we don't get confused here, is we'll go back to our template. So this is our template here, and it's in the URL, but it's also right here. This code, we can just click this copy button. That's a template ID. We need to use that within our script as well. So you can just save that elsewhere. We will add that into our script in a moment. Go back into guide, scroll down to here, the configure input variables. So we've already configured our API key from PDF Monkey. Now we need to pass in the record. We've got a screenshot of what this looks like here. So we're going to pass in record, and then we'll pass in the Airtable record ID. So we'll go back into Airtable, add input variable. The variable name is just going to be record. And if I bring in, one thing that we have to do first is run a test. If I select when a button is clicked, it's wanting me to configure to a button. So we're going to need an interface set up, which I already have. I'll select this. I'll go down to buttons here. We'll add a button, hit this properties icon. We'll go to the run automation, which would scroll down to the bottom. I'm just going to enable that. And then I'm going to select the automation that we're going to use. And you can change the color of the button, say create invoice PDF. Now we should be able to run a test here. So we can choose a record. I'm just going to use the 1001. And then now we can go into run a script, edit code, and we should be able to access it. If we hit that blue icon on the right and then go down to Airtable record ID. There, now we should be able to access it. For testing purposes, instead of using the when a button is clicked, you might be better off using when a record matches a condition or when a record is created, something like that, just for testing purposes. That way you don't have to go and set up this button beforehand. Now that we have that set up, we can go back into our script. We've got our input variable set up, and we have our secret input variable set up as well. And now we can go back into the guide. We'll scroll down here and we are going to copy this. I've got a long script pre-written. We'll just paste it into the editor. You could simplify this for testing purposes, but if you set it up exactly the way that I have it set up and run this with a few adjustments, it will create your PDF for you based off of the way that I have it. I'm just going to go through a few of these things quickly. I've linked some of the documentation. If I scroll down here, we can see this is getting my API key, which is just a secret stored right here. And then from there, this template ID is something we have to change to. That's where I said in our template, if we click copy, we've got the template ID within the quotes. We'll paste in the new template ID. Now, everything else should be set up exactly as we need it. Basically, what's happening here is this is getting the invoices table. Scroll down. Here's a bunch of stuff that's been pre-set up. We've got some error handling built in. For testing purposes, it's not necessary to have some of this stuff. It does add to the confusion a little bit, but what this is doing is getting the invoice that we've specified here. If I scroll down, this is extracting the invoice data and formatting it the way that we need it formatted. So for example, the invoice number, customer name, these are things that need to match your variables back in PDF Monkey. So invoice number, you can see how it's lowercase invoice, uppercase N with number. If I scroll up here, we've got the variable the exact same way. So that's got to be true for all of your variables. This is just formatting the date. And again, AI models do a great job at this. You can just plug in the script, say create a script for using Airtable's scripting action automation that gives it a little more context, and you can go from there. Now we got to extract the line items from that specific invoice. And again, we format these variables in the exact same way as within PDF Monkey. And if I scroll down a little bit further here, we can build out the payload, which is actually going to make the call to the API endpoint. And we're using the synchronous endpoint. So if I go into the PDF Monkey, we'll select docs. We can see on the left side here, there is a synchronous generation. And this is the one that we're going to be using. Basically, we're going to make the API call. The system will wait for the response to happen. And now smaller documents like invoices, generally that just have a page or two, packing slips, those types of things, I would recommend using the synchronous generation, at least while you get familiar with setting up this type of system, because otherwise you have to use the asynchronous option, which works great, especially for longer reports and things that will take longer to generate. But there's going to be an additional configuration. What would happen is you say create the PDF, It will call out to the system. And then from there, you'll have to add another configuration that checks on it every once in a while, or you could set up a webhook within PDF Monkey that once that PDF has been generated and has been completed, it will come back to your system whenever it's ready. But this method basically just waits for it to be ready. And it's a little bit simpler to work with, at least to get started, and get you back your PDF. If it's just a small invoice or a short invoice, it's only a page or two, quickly. But again, I would highly recommend using PDF Monkey documentation. They have it set up so that we can copy this page if we want to add it into an AI model for additional context. If you hit this drop down, you can see that you can open it directly in ChatGPT and Claude. And if you're more familiar and have a paid Claude account, or I think even a paid ChatGPT account, you could connect with the MCP and it will look up the documentation directly for you. That stuff's a little bit more advanced. To get back on track here, if I scroll back up to the top, as long as you follow my exact setup with the way that I've set up the Airtable invoices and line items tables, you can paste this in. You'll have to make sure that your input, so the record here, if I scroll down a little ways right here, we want to make sure that it just says record is set up, and PDF Monkey API key. You can make this whatever name you want, but then you'll have to change it here to make sure that it aligns, assuming you've updated and added your API key and you've changed the template ID to match this template ID. This script will work for you, to copying and pasting it in. You want to make sure there is a couple things. So if I've changed anything here, there's a save button that pops up first. So I'll just go back. You'd have to save to update it, or you can then publish it. And to be able to actually use this live, you need to make sure that it's been published, not just saved. Now what we're going to do is back in Airtable, I'm going to choose a record. I choose 1001, and I am going to test this action. Test action, and you can see this icon is spinning, and this is where the synchronous option works, is it's just waiting for that PDF to generate, and it looks like it's worked. If I scroll down here, we can see there's some script outputs, and now this is already built into the script as well. That's why I recommend just copying and pasting directly. And this download URL, this is something that we're going to use in a moment here. If I take this link and open it up, I'll be able to download that PDF. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a new action. We're going to update a record. We're going to update the invoices table. And the record we're going to update is the one from when the button is clicked. So this Airtable record ID, choose fields, and there's two fields that we're going to update. One is going to be the invoice PDF, and the other one is going to be the invoice PDF status response. The data tab in the invoices table, here's the PDF, which is an attachments field, and here is the response, which is just a drop down. So if I go back into automations, if I hit this plus icon from the run a script action, we're just going to pass in this download URL. And then the response, I've got to select this icon here. We're going to make it dynamic. Hit the plus icon, run a script. And if I scroll down, there should be, or at the top here, there's a status. And we're just going to pass that in directly. So now what we can do is we're going to turn this automation on. We're going to go into our interface, and I'm just going to change the way it's styled. So I'm going to make it green. And now I'm going to go into the preview mode. So we can see that the automation points to that automation we just built within Airtable. Turn on the preview mode. If I click create invoice PDF and confirmed it, we can see that it is now running the automation, and that script will wait for a little while until it responds back with the URL. And now we can see we have a PDF within our Airtable system. We can download it if we want. If I click on it, I can view that this has been created based off of the informations, bill to, the address, and all of the line items. If I close out of this, scroll down, we can see these are the different line items. We can see the total amount's $2,000. If I open this back up, we can see that there's 3 line items and the total amount is $2,000. So if I jump into 1003, there's 2 line items for a total of 900. I can create this invoice again. In a few seconds here, we can see that the PDF invoice is being uploaded. If I select into it, the total is $900 with 2 line items as well. And now I'm going to jump back into the guide. If I scroll down, I also have the steps written out for you of how to update that record with the PDF with a screenshot as well. As I've mentioned a number of times, if you follow the guide and follow the YouTube video, along with using a ChatGPT or Claude, you should be able to get this figured out. Remember, use those 2 guides. Something else that's important is follow along with the PDF Monkey documentation. So specifically, and I do have these linked in the guide as well, the synchronous generation. This is important for creating the script within Airtable. So if you are having some issues, I would just copy this page, paste it into your AI model that you use, and then work with your script that you've built or that I previously built here for you to make modifications. And then also, scroll down here, if you need help creating the HTML template, all of this stuff within PDF Monkey, there are a few things to point out. If I scroll down here, the line items table, because we could have anywhere from 1 to hundreds of different line items, that's where this comes into play. This is basically a loop that's going to loop through the different data points that we've sent out in the script. And for that, if we scroll down, this liquid reference is what it uses. You'll be able to click through these different pages and provide the AI models with some of this information as well. And you should be able to get it customized to fit your exact needs. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more tutorials in the future. That was my first attempt at a longer form, more in-depth type of tutorial. I hope you were able to follow along. If you have any feedback or comments, please let me know in the comments below.